How pay to win is Aion 2. After pumping over 100 hours into the game now, I feel like I'm in a pretty decent place to share my thoughts and share some information that I've learned to help paint that picture for you. I'm pretty sure I've got a pretty good idea or feel for how pay to win this game is at this point, rather than, hearing subjective opinions from all these other people that may or may not have even played the game or haven't put many hours into the game, or certainly people that don't know how gearing even works in this game. Here's my breakdown as someone who does understand and has actually pushed a character in the game, so you could decide for yourself. This is going to include objective information with how the pay to win works, as well as my subjective opinion as to what my thoughts are surrounding the pay to win. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe if you do appreciate this content. We're getting pretty close to my big goal of 200,000 subs, and also follow me on Twitch. That is my main platform. I'm streaming MMO content every single day. Quick word from today's sponsor. If you clicked into this video, you're probably interested in Aion 2. And if you want to check out the game for yourself, you're probably going to need a VPN, and the VPN that I recommend is Exit Lag. Only Exit Lag isn't really a VPN. It can serve as a VPN, but Exit Lag is the go-to program to access games overseas and, most importantly, lower your ping. This is a program that I've always used long before my partnership. It has always been my go-to because it simply works. It lowers your ping from Korea to NA East. Without Exit Lag, I'm generally anywhere from 200 to 250, 220 to 250 with most games. With Exit Lag, that takes me down to like 175, and that is a very, very big difference. But the other thing Exit Lag does, it allows you to access Korean games that may be located in Taiwan or in Korea. Like I said, if you're trying to check out Aion 2 for yourself, you will probably need a VPN. If you guys want to try the program out for yourselves, the program that I use on a day-to-day basis, you can find a link in the description below. All right, so let's dive right into this here, guys. Here's my current situation. I am level 45. I have 2,300 gear score, which is in the top percentage of gear right now. I've pretty much plus 10'd most of my gear, and I've got a juicer weapon. I got very lucky getting this, but it was very expensive. So this is obviously coming from someone, if you've been playing this game, I'm obviously pretty geared. I've gone through the whole crafting, abyss point farming, all of these systems. Obviously, we're still all very new. We're still all learning things, okay? So there could be things in this video that are subject to change, kind of my quick disclaimer. Let's talk about the basic foundational system when it comes to the monetization. The first thing is you have Kina. This is just gold. You farm mobs, you complete content, you're going to get Kina, okay? You have abyss points. This is another currency, but this currency is not like gold. You can think of this like honor points or PvP currency. Okay, it's not exclusively PvP, but that's a big part of it. Okay, just think of it like honor points or something like that in other Korean MMOs, or really in Western MMOs kind of have this as well. And then the final currency you have is Quna, which is the cash shop currency. So you have the cash shop currency, and then you have gold, then you have abyss points, right? But we're just going to pretty much focus on the gold and Quna for now. We are going to talk about the abyss points later in this video. So we've got that. And then we also have the memberships. The memberships, I'm not going to go too deep into. I'm not going to read everything that they come with, because it's not only written here, but we've also talked about these memberships repeatedly, okay? This is the together package where you can get both optional subs together at a discounted price, that price being a $5 local currency price, so obviously less than that if you're counting in USD. This is 45 bucks local currency. This is the first membership. This is the big one. They have locked the entire auction house behind this. You cannot trade and you cannot buy and sell goods on the auction house unless you have this currency. And it also comes with additional conveniences. Then you have the extra content membership. It's exactly what we speculated it to be. You have more time in the abyss. It's what you would think it is, more content. And then you also have the battle pass. You have two battle passes here. This is sold for Quna, the premium currency, which I believe is 1,000 Quna and then 1,500 Quna for this one. 1,000 Quna price for this, and then 1,500 Quna price for this, totaling 2,500 Quna for a 2-month long battle pass. No, specifically 8-week long battle pass. And then you have the battle pass currency shop here. So that is the basic foundational structure, okay? You can purchase Quna right here, and then you can sell this Quna or Kina, this exchange right here. 400,000 Kina being sold for 410 Quna right now, okay? So you can sell gold for Cash App currency, and you can sell your Cash App currency for gold. TLDR, you can purchase gold to buy goods. Everything on the auction house can be purchased by swiping for Quna, exchanging your Quna for Kina, and then spending that Kina on the auction house. Pretty simple. Not going to repeat myself there. Let's talk a little bit about the subscriptions, okay? It's become very clear that the subscriptions here, you pretty much have to have it. It is difficult to play without a membership. They are absolutely pushing you into buying a membership. I mean, here's an example. Okay, here's just a basic example. This inventory I've maxed out, and it is a fraction of the size. And with the convenience membership, I have remote storage, effectively doubling my storage space. But what makes it even worse is that there are a lot of items that cannot be transferred over. Every item that you see here that's grayed out, they cannot be transferred over. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things that can. This is, I've crafted, so you have a lot of these weapons. But you can see the currencies and a lot of these other items, they cannot actually be transferred over. So you just get hit with this big bottleneck when it comes to your inventory and storage space. It can be incredibly frustrating for someone who doesn't have the convenience of effectively double the inventory size. There's an example of a huge inconvenience when it comes to not having the membership. But it's not just that. The membership also, you know, obviously allows you to sell goods on the auction house. Like, you cannot actually sell anything here. It's very clear that if you want to play this game and you want to play it for a long period of time, you're pretty much gonna have to pay for this membership. My friend, who is a hardcore DGen gamer, cutting edge gamer, his name is Solid FPS, shout outs to him. He plays all these games free to play. Even him, he's like, man, it's like, he's still free to play, by the way, and he's been pushing eye level. Just so you know, he is like 2200 eye level right now, so he's been keeping up. But this is where he's probably gonna fall off quite a bit, because it gets very expensive, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But even him, there are just so many advantages to having these memberships that it's like you pretty much have to have it. Like I said, I'm not going to go too much into detail with what they actually provide. It's literally listed right here. And this video would go on way too long if I told you exactly what Odal Energy charge 50% increase is. I will actually give an example of this. Odal Energy is the energy that's needed to do a lot of the dungeon content. This requires 30 Odal Energy. And Odal Energy, rather than they're like dungeon entries, but rather than getting dungeon entries, like 1 or 2 dungeon entries each day, it's set up in a way where you're getting this energy periodically, right, over time. And you're essentially, that the sub essentially allows you to get 50% extra energy. And then they have another system where they actually have hard entries as well. I'm not going to go into that system. I will explain that system in the actual full review of this game, but since this is just focused on monetization, we're gonna stick with the subject of this video. So that's an example. You know, the advantages you get with a membership, you pretty much have to have it. The other membership too, same thing. You just get extra content, more games, more progression, right? And you feel it. The Battle Pass is another thing a lot of people were talking about. And to be honest, the Battle Pass is surprisingly not bad. It's actually really not bad. So 2,500 Kina. Assuming you can purchase Quna with your Kina, which requires a membership, of course. But if you are just a membership Andy and you're not swiping, you're only purchasing the membership, the Battle Pass is a non-factor. And the reason why is because it's going to, well, it depends. The pricing is subject to change, obviously, but right now it's costing you, I think maybe you're roughly around like 2 million, maybe 2-3 million Kina or something. And that's very easy to get. In fact, you will have that amount just by hitting endgame max level and finishing the campaign and whatnot. And I mean, considering you run one dungeon, you make 400,000 K with just one dungeon entry, saving up enough Kina to purchase Quna, it's really not bad. It's totally doable for someone who's not swiping for currency. And it's doable in a way that it is not going to impede on your progress. I have another friend of mine. He is a sub only Andy, so he's not swiping for anything, and he just simply has the optional sub, and he's killing it. He's made a ton of Kina. He's been playing the marketplace, which is totally doable in this game. One of the first things he purchased was the battle pass by selling his Kina, converting it into Quna, and getting this, and it really was not that expensive. And on top of that, the biggest thing is that these battle passes actually give you back Kina. You will literally get Kina, and I don't mean like 5k here. These items you also sell for Kina, and I think someone in my chat told me it pretty much pays for itself, and if it doesn't, it certainly makes it cheaper, or it comes pretty close. So really, at the end of the day, out of everything within the monetization, I would say the two battle passes they have is the fairest, assuming you have the ability to purchase this, because in order to purchase this with in-game gold, you do need at least the first optional sub, which is currently 20 local dollars or $15 USD. Next thing we're going to talk about is the gold currency. People talking about, hey, you know, PvP gear you have to get with Abyss currency, and Kina doesn't have that much value. It's okay. No, Kina absolutely has a lot of value, monumental value. It's extremely important, and the game gets really, really expensive. Here's my subjective opinion that's being inserted. It really does feel like the game drains a lot of your Kina and just gets really, really expensive. There are a lot of sinks, gold sinks, Kina sinks in this game. There are a lot. Even dissolving your gear, right? If I were to dissolve this, it's going to cost me 35,000 Kina. And that's just dissolving, like base level items, right? The more, obviously, it's going to get more expensive. To also add some perspective, look at this gear right here. I'm going to enhance this item. This item from +7 to +8 cost 100,000 Kina. Now look at this item. This item right here, when it gets to +10, it is no longer 100% success. That percentage goes down, and this costs 236,000 Kina. Look at my weapon. 12 to 13, 710,000 Kina at a 35% chance. And on top of that, guys, you also have enhanced materials. These are enhanced stones. This is the mat that you need to actually click. This costs 9,850 enhanced stones at this stage of the game. So it gets very expensive. What are enhanced stones? Enhanced stones are items that you get by dissolving gear. You need both things. You need Kina currency and those mats. Yeah, it gets expensive. So the whole notion that Kina has no value, it absolutely does have value, guys. It 100% does. Then what is the Abyss argument? The Abyss argument is, we go to the Abyss trade shop. These are all goods that are purchased with Abyss currency, and Abyss currency you cannot swipe for. This is a currency that you have to earn in game by killing other players, by completing dailies, all that stuff, right? Now you do have Abyss gear. Abyss gear is in fact the best in slot PvP gear, and no, PvE gear will never be as good as PvP gear, mainly because of this, the PvP damage boost and damage tolerance stats. Here, as you can see, whoops, if we go to the best in slot items here, this has 10% PvP damage boost. We look at the pauldrons here. This has 5% PvP damage tolerance. These stats are not present on PvE gear. Crafted PvE gear have the PvE equivalent to it. And you can see the set bonus here, an additional 5% damage tolerance in PvP. You can tell, you can feel a difference between people who are on PvP gear versus PvE gear. So acquiring PvP gear is absolutely not pay to win. You for sure need to farm the items for yourselves. However, when you get the item, in order to upgrade the item, because just getting the base item is not obviously enough, it is pay to win, because you can obviously upgrade it the same way you upgrade every single piece of gear, which I just showed you, right? I mean, this is just plussing the gear. Then you have mana stones, which you can purchase on the auction house that give you power. You have Theo stones, which give you power that can also be purchased on the auction house. Pretty much everything, right? Minus maybe the soul binding. Pretty much everything can be swiped for. Within the soul binding, by the way, you could also change each individual stat right here. Let's say I don't want might, which I do, but let's say I don't want it. I could use this to swap out this. These you can also swipe for. So as you can see, when it comes to the upgrading system directly, it is very, very pay to winnable. Okay, it is. Let's try to understand how gearing works so that you can better understand the significance of the purchasing of Kina. Okay, in this game, crafting is the best in slot PvE gear. We've already talked about the PvP gear. You can't pay to win, acquiring the base gear, right? When it comes to the PvE gear, how do you acquire this? Well, first you have crafted gear and you've got dungeon gear. What you're going to notice with the dungeon gear is that there is no PvE damage boost or tolerance PvE. So dungeon gear is looking like it's just transitional gear or free gear that is a little bit easier to acquire, only it's not really, because the chances of getting these items are pretty low. So if we look at conquest, like for example, this dungeon weapon, getting this bad boy, it's like a 7.5% chance to get this. If you want the heroic version or the orange version, it's even smaller chance to get it, right? But it does have a higher eye level, and there are a couple of interesting weapons specifically, like this like chromide greatsword. This is an extendable greatsword that gives it 4 meters of extra range. For the most part, this is never going to trump the crafted PvE gear because of the tolerance that I was talking about right here. So we go into the greatsword. Let's go into the longsword here, right? And we click on this star dragon. Okay, this, as you can see, PvE damage boost 5%. The armor will also come with PvE damage tolerance, and again, you can feel this difference. What does this require? It requires mats. This item, this item, this item, this item, this item, all of it can be purchased on the auction house for Kina. What about this? Well, the way the crafting works, you start with the base gray item. You have a 25% chance to get this item, an upgraded version. If you get this upgraded version, then you have a chance to craft this item. And if you craft this item and you don't get the upgraded version of this, which is blue, then you will get just a regular green and you're done. It can go no higher. And then you can obviously sell in the auction house if you wish to do so. If you do craft this and you do get this 25% chance to proc and you get this expert splendid orichalcum, then now you can use this blue sword to craft this weapon, which you have another 25% chance to get this item. So you're going up the chain here. Once you get this item, then you can craft the best in slot gear, but by just simply having more of these items. And this item can be purchased on the auction house. It was 3 million before. Right now it's selling for 6 million. That's a lot of Kina. We've got that. That's pretty much how the crafting works. That is pretty much how the progression works. Same goes for like armor, all of this. Okay, so let's add some additional context. Can't you go and craft all of these items? You absolutely can. This is a life skill heavy system. As you can see, in order for me to start these orichalcum longswords, I need these ingots. Okay, where do you get these ingots? You get these ingots by crafting them here, which will require ore. This item is an NPC item that you purchase for Kina, another gold sink. Okay, there are a lot of gold sinks in this. Orichalcum ore right here, you can gather this in the world as many times as you want, unlimited. The only issue is that in order for you to get enough of these mats to realistically craft these items, it is going to take you a long time, like a long time. Okay, to put things into perspective, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to a zone here and just simply show you how long it takes to gather something, and then you can kind of see for yourself. Here we go. Here's an item. This is obviously not orichalcum. I procced a green version, but here we go. Okay, that succeeded. These can fail, by the way, and I got 2. Okay, we do this again. Here we go. And this is at max gathering level. I got 1. So as you can see, these mats, you get like 1, maybe 2 at a time. So in order for you to get like hundreds, which is what you're going to need to really start crafting these upper level gears, it's going to take a long time. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you are someone that wants to just life skill and just do this, that is totally fine, right? But it is going to take a while. To me, it seems like free-to-play or sub-to-play players, well, not free-to-play, you need a sub to be able to actually sell goods. A lot of the sub non-whales are going to be going into this game life skilling. They're going to be actively playing the game and then selling these goods on the auction house. Let's see, Aura Calcum. These items are then sold for Kina. And the rice farmer, as they call them in Korea, that's what they call them in Korea. The rice farmers are going to get your Kina, well, the whale's Kina, and the whales will spend their Kina and get these mats so that they can craft the gear to use for themselves. That's what this system feels like. It feels like if you're a sub to play non-whale, you're going to be out there spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours farming these mats that are needed, and you can sell them, or you could try to push up yourself. But if you try to push up yourself and use this for yourself, it will take a very long time. As you can probably tell, you need to proc these 25%ers only to go here. Just so you know, when you craft these items, they have a chance to fail. So even if you have mats to craft this Dark Dragon Lord Greatsword, which I have, you have a chance to fail this craft and lose all of your mats. It is not guaranteed. Just because you get this, just because you get these mats, it does not mean you're guaranteed this craft. You see this little success fail system here? The same thing happens when you craft. The same thing. Right? I will craft one right now. It's going to cost me gold right now, or Kina right now, because I'm not at the workbench. If you're at the workbench, it doesn't cost you anything. But if I craft this right now, as you can see, success, I'm going to probably succeed because my leveling is pretty high. But it can absolutely fail if you're unlucky. So that's pretty much how this whole system is set up. I really wanted to explain how the gearing system works so that you guys can understand it. This is how you acquire PvE gear. I've shown you guys how you go about upgrading your actual gear in game. And by the way, the enhanced materials, these enhanced stones that are behind my camera, you can obviously purchase goods on the auction house, dissolve them, and get enhanced stones as well. So TLDR, guys, you can absolutely speed up your progression. You will end up purchasing Quna, exchanging it for Kina, and the Kina that you get, or excuse me, and the Kina that the sub player gets, they get your Quna in return. You are technically purchasing the Kina from the player that has farmed it, but you obviously purchase your Quna from NCSoft, right? So yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. The notion of this game not being pay to win is ludicrous. It absolutely is pay to win. This upgrading system, this pay to win system, or the Kina purchasing system, it's very consistent with just about every Korean MMO, by the way. This is nothing new. It's right up there with all the other Korean MMOs when it comes to purchasing gold, using that gold to buy upgrades or speed up your upgrade process. One thing that I did want to add is, again, this pay to win system, if you are tolerant to Korean MMOs and their pay to win systems, this is going to not really feel any different. Okay, again, like I said, this is pretty consistent with a lot of Korean pay to win MMOs. However, the fact that you need a subscription, right, on top of this system, in my personal opinion, is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous, which is a shame because I am actually really enjoying the game. I think the gameplay itself is solid. If you like Korean MMOs, you are likely going to think this game is solid, minus the UI, which they did say they're going to release a PC exclusive UI soon, hopefully. Hopefully they're not lying, but they have been saying it literally every dev stream, so I'm inclined to believe that it's true. So aside from the UI, this game is solid. Now, if you're a Western MMO, Andy, chances are you're going to think this game is meh or not even that great. Just as you probably thought Throne Liberty was meh or not even that great or even garbage, right? To me, it's pretty obvious that this game's gameplay, everything about it is very much a classic Korean MMO identity, which, by the way, I have spoken to a lot of Korean players, and that's the general consensus they've given too. This doesn't feel like they're reinventing the wheel. It just feels like a complete classic Korean MMO RPG experience. Koreans are actually okay with this whole rice farming system. This is, for whatever reason, Koreans are okay with this system. Personally, I think that this system does not work in the West, and it is the reason why all Korean MMOs eventually die down and become relatively niche. because the masses don't appreciate in the West, don't appreciate these pay to win systems. Yeah, there's a demographic here for this type of game. Again, I think the game itself is solid. It's really fun to play. I'm addicted to the game, but the monetization sucks. It sucks dick. It really does, because essentially you have the same pay to win system, which, yeah, the pay to win system in and of itself is not outlandish or especially worse compared to other Korean MMOs like Lost Ark in these games. Not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just making an objective point here. It's more or less the same system, right? But the problem is this one locks the ability to even rice farm as a free-to-play player behind a subscription. And on top of that subscription, an extra subscription where they're selling more game time. I'm not going to mention the Battle Pass because, really, like I said, the Battle Pass, as long as you have the subscription, Battle Pass is a non-factor. I will give them that. But these optional subs on top of that system, guys, it's just not going to work in the West. It will still have a sizable launch in the West, but the game is the population is going to bleed out to the point where it's just going to be another small niche game. Look at the population for Lost Ark. Look at the population for Throne and Liberty. Are they still alive? Are there still plenty of players playing it? Yes. But it is not a Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14 size, right? When it comes to the population. Some of you guys might be thinking, well, you can pay to win WoW tokens gold in World of Warcraft. I assure you, I know this, but as someone that really enjoys Korean MMOs, the amount of pressure, I know people are going to give me shit for this. I know. But I personally believe the amount of pressure you had that's applied to the player for purchasing gold in World of Warcraft is simply different to the amount of pressure that you will feel in a game like this. And it's done in different ways. It's the same. I agree. I know it's the same thing, same principle. You could purchase currency and you buy the carries to get the gear. I understand that, but there is a different level of pressure. That is my personal opinion. If you disagree with that, that is totally fine. That is just genuinely what I feel. But regardless, you guys understand how the monetization is set up in this game, and it is of my personal opinion that this game is simply too expensive. To add insult to injury, the cash shop right here, even the costumes, I mean, they look fantastic, but the costumes are just way too expensive, guys. It's 49,000 won. That is like 49,000 won to a Korean would be similar to $49 to an American in America. Okay, so obviously this is cheaper right now, but even if we were to take that 30% discount because you're using US dollar to buy Korean goods, even then, it is simply too expensive. I'm not going to give them shit for monetizing cosmetics. I don't think anyone in the West will, but I'm just saying, to add insult to injury, they're even charging like $50 local currency for these costumes. It is just simply too much. The game is just too expensive, okay? And this is being reiterated not only from Taiwanese people in the Western audience, but I've heard it being mentioned quite a bit from Koreans as well. However, in case you are wondering, from a gameplay perspective, a lot of Koreans have been enjoying this game. It might be the top game right now. Obviously, it's launch time, but a lot of like the big name streamers from Lost Ark and all the other Korean games, they're playing it. I've reached out to a bunch of streamers. I've reached out to a bunch of just regular Korean community members, and of course there are people that don't like it, but I would say the vast majority of people that I've talked to have been saying that the gameplay is really fun. So like I said, if you're into Korean MMOs, if that is your jam, gameplay wise, you're going to probably enjoy this game. But if you're into Western MMOs, you're probably not going to enjoy this game because it is very Korean MMO style like, and the monetization is just simply too expensive. I wanted to add this here really quick in the video. I forgot to mention this earlier because this definitely is relevant to the video. In case you're wondering what the gaps are currently between a free-to-play player and a pay-to-win player right now, long story short, the gaps as of now really are not that big. To add some perspective, my buddy Solid FPS, he is currently at 2.2 or 2.3k gear score, completely free. He has not paid a single sub. Paid for a single sub. However, the dude plays like 16 hours a day. I am not even kidding. He's an absolute gamer. He's probably not the best example of a free-to-play player. He is the extreme example. Okay, he's an anomaly. At least there's a reference point there, right? Obviously, there are plenty of people that have spent money in this game that are not at that stage, that are past that stage. But the people that are past that stage, they're not past that stage by very much. For example, solid FPS. If we go out in PvP, the dude is a force, right? He is someone that is going to be racking up a lot of kills. He's not going to be really shat on because of his gear at this stage of the game. That is. Another thing I want to mention and point out is that the ranking here, the Abyss rankings, this is the main PvP rankings. These two guys, I actually ran into them before. They're the rank number 1 and number 2 guys. They are also currently at 2.3k gear score, and they are in relatively similar gear to what I am in. Minus the weapon. They don't have this good of a weapon. I got really lucky with this weapon. All the rest of the gear, it's pretty similar. Some of you guys may have seen a video of a super geared whale gladiator that was able to just take on like 20 plus people. Yes, those people exist, but as you can see from my server, those people, they're not that many of those people. In fact, it'll be very difficult to actually come across those types of people. They for sure swiped a ton of money to get to that stage, but in my personal opinion, it's really not that different from any Korean pay-to-win MMORPG launch week. There's always going to be people that pay that money to get ahead to that point. But if you're playing the game, it certainly doesn't feel like there are a ton of people that are like that. In fact, I've not come across a single person that was geared to that extent. And as you can see from the rankings from my server, the top 2 PvPers on my server are currently at my gear score level. How much have I spent? I've currently spent $500 or so, roughly around $500 into this game, which includes all of the subscriptions and all the battle passes, which that shit adds up. Most of my money went into this weapon right here. This is a very expensive weapon. I got very lucky crafting it. I wanted to record a video here, and fortunately we lucked out. There's a very good chance that I didn't get shit for that money that I spent because of the cooked crafting system, but that is a video that I will be uploading relatively soon. That should be pretty fun to watch. But yeah, that's how much I've spent, and I'm currently at this gear score level, certainly in the top percentile. So yeah, just wanted to add that context in here for you guys in case you were wondering what the gaps between a free-to-play player and a pay-to-win player and a sub-only player are. I know a lot of people that have just spent the sub money, and I know quite a few people that are more hardcore free-to-play players that are right in that 2,000 to 2.3k gear score range. However, I will say that I am expecting there to be a larger gap between spenders and non-spenders starting from this 2.3k threshold. This is just speculation. However, I'm also speculating there to be a larger emphasis on alt gameplay, considering Kina. A lot of Kina can be made, a lot from dungeons. You can transfer that money from alts to your main. So it does look like there is going to be a little bit of an alt / Lost Ark like system. Wanted to add that in there to help better paint this picture. There is a direct as I could possibly be, very honest, very direct, very blunt breakdown of the monetization as well as my thoughts. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments section below. I do apologize if this was a little cooked. I've been sleeping like 3 hours a day for the past week plus, hard diving into this game so that I can learn and relay this information to you guys. So yeah, I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this for whatever reason, as we usually do when we talk about monetization. People get their panties in a bunch when it comes to this stuff. The comment section below in this video is definitely going to be popcorn worthy. I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.